Blue Lotus Gardens. My name is Blue Phoenix. If you're new here, I make fun planty videos from my found knowledge and then also share with you a plant vlog on Wednesdays of a little bit of my daily life and then also just of what I do for my small business, Blue Lotus Gardens, my home-based plant shop. In today's video is Plant Care Tuesday and we are talking about Alocasias. If that's something that you're interested in, I recommend you hitting the subscribe button, and if you can, like my video and comment if you like my video and if there's anything you'd like to talk about throughout the video. So in today's Plant Care Tuesday, we are talking about Alocasias. For demonstration, I have my Alocasia Lotus, and then I'm also have this as a demonstration. This is my Alocasia Bambino. If this is something that is currently going on with your Alocasia Bambino, this is called it's a little dormancy period. We'll talk about that later in the video, and then also I'll share with you little demo clips of each kind of plant care that I am going to be speaking about. So that way it helps out with the video and helping anybody out with any questions that might be needed. Okay, so first thing first is lighting. Lighting is something that could be a little bit tricky to people, and as you see, in the back I have my Alocasia Regal Shields, and it's doing really well. I often put it outside in the morning. You could put your Alocasia Regal Shield outside in for the morning sun for about 2 hours, and then nothing direct though, and then bring it back inside. That does help it photosynthesize a little bit. Also need to wipe down the leaves because it gets a little dusty before coming in. As you see here, this is the morning sun that I let my Alocasia receive. It does really well here, and then once the light starts looking a little bit more brighter onto the Alocasia, I'll move it towards a shadier spot. So it usually gets shadier over here, so I'll just move that over here. Oh, just a quick disclaimer, this video might be a little bit of what I call a brain dump video, where I just kind of give you all the information that I have from my found knowledge and my experience, and pretty much just really just explain thoroughly about each kind of plant care and help you understand better with that. And then also it's really hot in here. Had to bump up the humidity because of the new plants that arrived. So the first part of the video, we will be talking about lighting. Lighting is something that could be tricky to people. As I mentioned, for the Alocasia Regal Shield, that's how I would go about it for that specific one. Each kind of Alocasia kind of has the same general care with a bit of little differences here and there, and then I'll explain that to you all, and it kind of helps out with understanding their whole general care that way. So for the Alocasia Lotus, it's referred to as a purple sword. So if this is something that you have, I purchased mine from a local nursery that I went and did a plant tour video on. I'll link a video up here, and so that way y'all can see that. They have really amazing plants. I love sharing everybody's plants. But what caught me is this really beautiful stem right here. It's kind of painted stripe almost, and I really enjoy that. And then the foliage might be a simple emerald green, but to me it's really nice and elegant, and I really like the ruffles that it has on the edge of the plant. So that's another reason why I really like it. In the back, I think it's really really cool that the whole stem is actually like painted all the way throughout the whole plant. So, like even up to like right here. Oh, and just get really excited, but I'll talk to y'all more about the plant care tips as well. Um, so for lighting, you want to keep them in like very bright light. Uh, west west and north facing windows are your best bet for them, and then south facing windows are okay, but you have to put like a curtain like mine behind it to really diffuse it, because if not, they're gonna get scorched, and they are like, especially if they're unfurling, they won't unfurl, and they'll just scorch and die off, and you might have to cut off part of it so that way that produces another new stem. But they're pretty. This one's like the most. This one, from my experience, has been the pretty much like one of the fastest growing um, alocasias that I have. Okay, and then I'll insert a clip of how the lighting where I put it, and then so this one in a under my grow lights, because it requires a little bit more of like a higher brighter light, and the Alocasia Regal Shields just stays there, or I'll move it outside for 2 hours in the morning if I actually like wake up and remember to do it. But that's one of them, and that really helps out, and it pushes out new growth like crazy. So next, we're going to be talking about watering. If you're new to plant care with alocasias, watering might be a little bit tricky, and so what you definitely want to make sure when you're watering your alocasia is, first off, like how moist the soil is. Alocasias like to be in a good moist soil, but they don't like to be drowning in water. They're not elephant ears. I think that's why a lot of people maybe misconstrued them in their care, because of like how much an elephant ear needs and how much they kind of look alike. I know when I first started caring for an elephant ear and alocasias, I just thought, it just needed water and just sit in water. Okay, well, let it sit in water. That's not what it needs. Kind of like I call it like a cat and mouse situation, where you're just kind of like going about it little by little, especially if they're going through their own little dormancy period or their funky little stages. You just kind of have to like watch with your watering and make sure that it's just moist and not wet. When another good way of noticing that is how heavy it is. So the heavier it is, the more water it's holding, especially if it's in this like what I call growers mix for plants when they first are shipped to the nursery. They're in this like growers mix, and I'll show you that. Like this is a growers mix. This is a growers mix, and it probably consists of more like of a peat moss type of mixture to it, so it retains more moisture, more water, and it's easier for the plant while it's being shipped. But this, like, let's say this is like your regular average houseplant soil. So the difference would be in watering is how much water retained it is, and so the more peat moss it has, the more water it's retaining. Apologies if that's a little rambly, but that's how I go about it. The soil needs to be like pretty moist, but like it doesn't need to be wet. For watering,
you want to make sure you have a very well draining soil mixture. This one has a whole bunch of perlite, as you see, because it what I do is I just basically fill it all the way up to the brim of it and allow it just to soak. This is its watering day, and I'm going to show y'all. So this is what I do. I get a hose, I come out here, and then I just make sure I water this thoroughly. I know it's needing of a water because the whole planter itself is really light.
For humidity, these love high humidity. So the higher the better. And from my experience, they do thrive in like maybe 50 to 67% humidity at most. But they really do thrive in like 60 to 70 degrees, a 60 to 70% in humidity because of just how high that is. It's helping them push out new growth, especially if they're like going through their funky stages. They're they're gonna need that higher humidity.
So for humidity, here is the preferred humidity for your alocasia. What I would do, and then here are all the stats. As you see right here, it's at 71% humidity. Um, Outside it's 87 degrees, but that's the humidity that we have right now. And if you're wondering, this is my humidifier. This is like my temporary one. I use, until I get a better one. I do recommend getting something that you can fill on the top, not having to take this out all the time, because that does cause a lot of issues, and you have to clean it, and you have to use filtered water because then it gets clogged up in here. So just so you know, it's this brand. I bought it at Target. Target.
Uh, which leads me to propagation and plant.
So for propagation, you're going to see right here. This is where the new growth happens, and as you see down here, that little nub is where new growth is happening as well. And sometimes it develops these little bulbs underneath the soil wrapped around the roots for it to form another plant of its own. And then that way, you just want to make sure that it's fully established and it's actually has a hardened stem. That's one of the most important things, because if you don't, then you have to revive it. But then you wiggle it out and then you pull it off. But that's how you propagate the alocasias.
Care tips for you. So for propagation, what you're gonna have to do is there. It's called split propagation. No, it's not split. This is this actually is propagated by a little bulbs of them. So eventually, like the little bulbs will grow a piece of the stem, and you'll see a juvenile, very tiny baby growing. So something unlike this, but off the mother plant itself, and then you can like wiggle off the little bulb off the plant and actually pot it up and make another plant off of that. But it's going to need to stay in moist soil a little bit more than it already is in its growers mix. It might be a little confusing, but if you just kind of take everything really slowly as you're going along with your plant care for your alocasias, if you're really trying to learn about that, that's really how you go about it. Just kind of like have to just really be patient and look at your plant and see what it's really like needing.
Here is a plant tip. When you have yellowing leaves on the tip, it means that it's been overwatered, because what alocasias do, sorry for the messy background, but I'm moving. But as you see right here, they remove all the water the excess water, and sometimes when it's overwatered, this happens. Here's my alocasia. As you see, it lost all its leaves. It sometimes does that, and I just keep it moist. And by that, I mean I just like pretty much wait till all this is pretty much dry. And you see right there on the top soil, it's pretty wet and dense. So we're just gonna let it sit until it's completely dry.
I instantly knew this little guy was going to start going into its little funky dormancy period once it started to lose all its like leaves and stuff. And I was just like, well, I cut one off, and it's fine. The next thing is I just watered it probably twice, and it is in a more peat moss type of mix. So I just left it in my near my I just left it near my grow light, which is set at 20%, um, and so that's caused it to produce new growth faster than without the grow light. Just so you know. For pest, I recommend getting like some sort of pest control. I haven't had the issue of pest yet with the alocasia, but I know that it's bound to happen eventually. It's just something that plants go through. Um, but that's how I go about it. So in case you might get like little browning tips on your plant, let me show you here. Those little browning tips means that it was like in need of water and it didn't receive enough water at that time. The tips of the alocasias, they actually is a system where they exude water from their little tips like that, and then they exude all the excess water that it has stored up in the plant. So it just all like drip out. Sometimes I'll find this one just like having a lot of like water just dripping down, and I'm just like, what did I do? Well, everyone, that's my care tips for the alocasia. It's really simple. I was really going over it, making sure that I got everything, but pretty much that's how it is. You really just kind of have to like really work on the watering to make sure that it's not too wet. If it's too wet, it'll just cause a lot of root rot and cause your plant to die. Um, so that's one of the ways to go about it. So I really hope my plant care tips help you all with your alocasias. I thank you all so much for supporting our channel, supporting our plant shop, and visiting our plant vlog. I am currently moving out of Dallas and onto Fort Worth, and so I'm just really excited for the new adventures that we're going to be having, and I hope you all really enjoy the vlog that I'm going to be creating, because it shows a lot of updates and stuff. I've been adding a lot of new things for our local pickup, so, and then also for our shipping as well. So our shipping comes for just a little just really quick, I'm going to say that our shipping comes from California and Florida, and we have a 30-day policy, and everything's professionally shipped to you all. I want to make sure that was one of the most important things that I wanted to make sure that my company can provide to you all, especially like starting up. But yes. And then I also have new merch, all down in the links below if you're interested in looking at it, and supporting if you like. I really appreciate all of y'all that have supported me in my merch. It's amazing still that I get to do this and then design, and people are enjoying my designs for my t-shirts and my, like, all the stuff that I just put out. Like, it's just amazing. And I have free wallpapers that I also give out on my blog as well. So if you want to support, there's all sorts of ways to support and make sure that there's possibilities for everybody. You all are so amazing, and I thank you all so much. Y'all have a wonderful day, evening, night, wherever it is. Bye, everyone.